They say following a legend isn't easy, but Denise Dillon actually made it look quite simple. All she did after taking over the program from the legendary Harry Peretta was turn Maddy Siegrist into the Wildcats' all-time leading scorer and get Villanova to a Sweet 16. But it might have been last season where she turned in her best coaching job with the Wildcats. Denise Dillon saw her roster rocked by the transfer portal in the months leading up to the season. They struggled early in the campaign, but continued to get better and better and ended up winning 21 games. Now they've added some pieces. What can they do for an encore? We go straight to the source. Our guest is Denise Dillon, the head coach of Villanova, next on Holy Nova. And hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Holy Nova. We're part of the Big East Energy Network. I am Matt Janis. No David White this week. You could probably see that on your screen, but I think you'll forgive us his absence as we're joined by the head coach of the Villanova women's basketball program, Denise Dillon. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So I'm a big believer that life is all about timing and perspective. Our timing to have you on is either perfect or absolutely rotten. Is this your first interview since that raucous atmosphere at the Finn the other night?
It is. Yes. We had a great night. I guess, you call it the tip off to the season. Seems early, but it was, it was electric in there in the Finn. I'm hoping for the same for a lot of
the star power here on Holy Nova might be a little bit lower in terms of who you're talking to, but the atmosphere and just the turnout from the students, and as you mentioned, the energy, how important is that for your program, for the players, and really for the Villanova community as a whole?
It's so important. I think it's even more important now in this, changing landscape of college athletics, just to have Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, Maddy Siegrist back on campus, connecting with the students, telling their story, sharing so many great memories. It was really impactful. I know it was for our players, just talking with them last couple of days, and they really retained it. They heard what was going on, but for the student body, to see how important it is for them to return to campus and just feel good about the community and all that Villanova has to offer and what's going on.
I was thinking about your off season in the lead up to having this conversation, and you've been at this for a long time. You've obviously been really good at it, but your off season kind of sums up where we are in college athletics in 2025. If I told you 5 or 10 years ago that essentially you would have brought back a really good freshman with sophomore eligibility, lost a really talented young player, and brought in a couple of good pieces, and the world would be celebrating and acting like you accomplished something spectacular. It has changed so much in college sports, hasn't it, with the portal and how everything works?
It sure has. I mean, it is, for lack of a better word, so short-sighted. I've always been a firm believer in just being grateful and appreciating all that life has to offer. I'll tell you right now, you definitely each and every day are recognizing the importance of that appreciation and, over any expectation. You nailed it on the head, Matt, by just saying, if 5, 10 years ago, you're saying kids are leaving after a year or two, oh shoot, after 3 years and then going somewhere else in their final season, I would, no way, no how. But now it's become the norm, which is a little frightening.
Well, but the good news was you were able to hold on to Jasmine Bascoe, and I know how much that she meant to your team last year, and it was really fun watching her game evolve over the course of the season. In your mind, where did she come the furthest, and how high is the ceiling for her this year?
Yeah, well, just in the intro when you had said what last year looked like for us, coming in 7 new players, 3 of them being freshmen, 4 transfers, and just watching that progression and growth. And I really believe, it was as Jazz grew, our team got better. And that's typical with a point guard, and especially a scoring point guard and someone of her mobility and motor. So, Jazz really came along last year. She came into the program knowing we were throwing her right into the fire, and we had high expectations of her, as she did herself. But just watching her growth through the season, I would say the biggest piece was within pace, understanding the tempo, the style of what we were looking to do within our system. And her buy-in, she was so mature in her will to get better, her want. And she's the type of player, Matt, that you got to pull the reins back. Like, all right, let's settle down, Jazz. Let's take a little breather in the off season, a little rest, because she just wants to continue to get after, and she loves the game of basketball.
Where have you seen, as you get ready for the start of this year, that hard work lead to some tangible improvement? What can we expect for an encore from her?
Oh gosh, there's just so much to her game that she has to offer. And I really see it as just being that all around great player. Last year we relied on her so much in the scoring. Uh, Crazily, she was our second leading rebounder as our point guard. I want to just see some of those other areas, her on the defensive end, capitalizing, getting some touches. Offensively, she's got some more options out there. So the assists, scoring and distributing. So I just feel like the overall game, you're going to see the improvement. And, a lot of it's measured by the stat sheet. But, for us, we just see how she impacts the game, even when the ball isn't in her hands, and just making players better around her.
The portal will take it, but it also will give it. And you guys got a couple of assets in the offseason from there. Let's start with Kylee Watson, the
Mhm.
transfer from Notre Dame. We talked last year, I was doing a couple of your games about trying to get that front line solidified, and Danae Carter working her way back from injury. And you guys got better and better up front as the season progressed. But now you have a healthy Carter with the potential of adding in Watson, someone with her skill set. How tantalizing is that for you as a coach, where you could turn something that at times was a little bit of a weakness for you guys last year, and maybe it becomes a potential big strength this season?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. It took us many years to try and get Kylee Watson back to the Philly area. Initially when she was leaving Oregon, we were in on that process, having her visit. She made her way halfway across the country. And now in her final campaign, we got her here at Villanova. And so happy about her maturity is off the charts. Her energy, just who she is as a person. Any opportunity to speak to that is so great. And you just see it carry onto the floor. Again, we keep saying that appreciation for opportunity. And she missed last season out with a knee injury, and you just see how elated she is to be back in action. And yeah, you've watched my teams for years. It's my 23rd season, and not too often we had a true post player. And it's again to our style. She still permits that mobility of the 5-out that we run. She is natural within that movement, but just her size and presence in the paint is something I'm certainly looking forward to, and a great target. As they say, Jazz just loves the idea of that 2-man game, throwing the ball up to her. And it is, just having her and Danae connect, working together this summer and having them on the floor has been really nice. I couldn't be happier for Danae Carter. This was her first off season that she was healthy and able to train. And it just shows, every coach preaches how important the off season is, and development and confidence, gaining those areas. And she is the true example of it, because unfortunately she was doing rehab, in her off seasons of the past. And now you could just see her game really reach another level. I'm super excited for the two of them to be on the floor. And our trainer is working hard, our sports performance coach, to keep them healthy. That's the number one piece, making sure that they're healthy enough to be out there, because, it's a long season.
You alluded to your system, and that is so interesting to hear you say that, because yeah, it isn't necessarily the first thing you think of, bigs in that spread the floor 5-out look, but sometimes when you guys have had bigger players with athleticism, that's where maybe some of your best teams have cropped up. What does the size do inside the system? What kind of an asset is that? Obviously, being bigger helps, but in what ways, in your mind, does it?
Well, I think it's the combination of two. Teams tend to switch on us a lot when we're equal in height. Maybe a little bit more in some of those forward positions. However, it's still you have bigger guards in the league and teams we have on our schedule non-conference, so they can make those switches and just be disruptive. When you have more size, I go back to Maddy Siegrist. Teams tried to switch. Now she's going into the post and just looking for the ball, the mobility, and you're looking at Kylee Watson with this, same thing. So you either put her, cut her back door, you put her on the block, throw it over the top and get her the ball, or that mobility permits against some of the bigs, traditional bigs, where she can get them on a curl or a slip, just different action that we run. So taking advantage, just trying to keep the defense on their toes. So there's nothing better than having that, stretch 4-5 player who really is, for us, it's positionless. So she's a 3-4-5. They even throw her and Danae at the one a lot. So just bringing the ball down there to relieve some of that pressure, because teams are going to do everything possible to keep the ball out of Jazz's hands and try and wear her down. When you have, some posts who are comfortable handling, you can do a lot of fun things on the court.
So you mentioned the local ties with Kylee Watson. Obviously, Danae is somebody that is from the area. In this era of college basketball, how important is that, even if you're not necessarily going to land a kid out of high school, of recruiting your backyard? So if something doesn't work out down the line, who knows how that ends up coming to fruition?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always think it's important. I'd love to keep those top local players here at Villanova. But you understand, there's a lot of information out there and opportunity. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But it's, building those relationships and just continuing. I think we do it right in the recruiting process. I have incredible staff. And, you wanted them the first time. It doesn't work out. They want to come back. Connections, the players, of course, want to keep them here in the area. Some, make decisions to go elsewhere. But as we say, if they connect with us after they get into that portal, then we wanted them the first time, for who they were as people, and then they had an opportunity to grow a little bit. We certainly want them back to finish their careers.
Another person that you're bringing in during the offseason, Kelsey Joens, that was a unique connection. It seemed like one of your program legends. It was a program legend that kind of helped you land Kelsey Joens out of the transfer portal. The Maddy Siegrist connection, she's done an awful lot for Villanova over the years, and it just keeps going.
She sure has. Maddy, she's always says, and I'm a firm believer in it also, what Villanova has done for her, and she has felt it. She wants to continue to see the program grow and build, and certainly helps. She played with Kelsey Joens' sister, Ashley, for a short stint there in Dallas, and they just forged a relationship, and she had an opportunity to meet the family. And I'll tell you, when I called Kelsey Joens, thought it was a long shot for sure. Out there in Iowa, her whole family is, I think the farthest one of her sisters went was Oklahoma, not too far away. So I called, I said, all right, what do we have for me, Kelsey? And she's like, oh, I'm really interested. Maddy immediately started talking about Maddy. And then she led to just understanding what we do, style of play. She knew she would fit beautifully. So again, who she is as a person, it's contagious. She's energetic. She's great to be around, and just adds a great touch, on the perimeter, a great shooter for us within what we do.
How much of an asset is Maddy Siegrist, who goes, top 5 in the WNBA draft, and is out there with Dallas playing with Paige Beckers, obviously one of the more popular teams in the league, and have her representing Villanova the way she does, but then also still being as close knit to the program, because a lot of times, especially early in a player's pro career, they're just, it seems like because they have so many other things on their plate, there's a natural drift away. And she still seems almost as locked in as ever.
Oh, for sure. She is. I mean, she got back. They were just unfortunately didn't make the playoffs with the Wings, and had an event after their last game. Last Thursday was their last game. Friday had an event. Saturday she flew back. She was on campus Monday, so she is a presence. She wants to be around. She always asking. Just sends texts. What do you need? What can I do? Just wanted to be a part of it. And it's special. That is not, you just said it. It's not the norm. But she does. She goes out of her way for the individuals, for people, and for the university. So I do. I love just having her in our corner.
We had her future father-in-law on in a couple of weeks, I guess maybe a month ago or so now, and talking about just how wild that is, that, the last Villanova legend that he coached is going to actually end up in his family, because he always talked about how the girls were all like his daughters. How cool is that for you now, as the person in charge of the program, to see kind of two big-time Villanova legends intertwined and become literal family?
Right. Oh, we have a great time with that, Maddy. With Harry as her future father-in-law. It's really cool. Yeah, when you talk about family, a lot of universities say that, a lot of programs. I think there's proof within Villanova women's basketball, and that being the most recent story. So yeah, the wedding October 31st. It's coming up for Maddy and Steven, and it's just going to be an incredible day. I say, prayers are always answered. And I think this is for Harry and Helen an absolute dream come true. I mean, they raised incredible boys and now men in Steven and Michael. They're such great beings, and it only makes sense, for that to align for Steven and Maddy to meet, because I think she is just as great a human as Steven. So it's really special that they dated their later years of college, and have made it work, with her being in Dallas a long stretch and Steven in the crazy world of coaching. And yeah, so I can't wait for the 31st. I'm really excited for their wedding.
Storybook stuff for the Villanova program. Nobody can get off the topic better than me, though. Get back to your team. How about Bryn McCurry? She would have really helped your group last year, and obviously the injury was a kind of a big deal. We talked about those early struggles. That might have had something to do with it. Her coming back this year, what are you looking for from her, and how did her rehab go?
Yeah, that was a big hole to fill last year. Bryn was, as you saw, like through her freshman year, you could see her just getting better and playing some really good basketball down the stretch. We went over to Italy last August, and I had said, like, she was our best player over there. Again, being familiar with what we had, one of the returning players, really confident in what she is capable of doing, has a great understanding of the game. And she put in the work. She put in the work for her rehab in order to be back and ready to go. So we were able to have her at the end of the season, like practice-wise, getting back into it, and then this summer. Yeah, I'm fired up to have her back on the floor. She's just another very unassuming, and she's another player who makes players better. Like, she brings them up without having to say a lot, and she does. She's comfortable in that position of talking or directing, but she makes plays for other people and herself. So definitely excited to get her back in action.
How do you and your staff do such a good job of identifying those types of kids? Because it is clear, for lack of a better term, you guys have a type, and that is sort of the type that you're looking for. And that prototype has worked out pretty well for your program over the years. What are the keys to finding those kids and then landing them?
Yeah. Again, I give a ton of credit to our staff. It's Joe Mulaney's been doing this a long time, and he gets it. Like, that just seems so simple, but he gets what good basketball looks like. he is a diehard. Like, you talk about the recruiting, how it's changed, these evaluation periods. He's in that gym from seventh or whatever the first game is. Even if we have our list of players who need to be watched, and he could be done like six or something. He's like, oh, well, no, there's more games going on, and he'll stay there all day. So he gets after it. He's a hard worker. Tiara Malcolm, just knowing the game, as a great player and coach. She has a knack for just the connection, like getting players who not only fit obviously the basketball piece, like you can evaluate that, but who they are as people. So important there. And Michelle Baker Sword just is an everyday person. We have Jess Janko, who another one I competed against. She was there at Northeastern, and loving watching her growth as a coach. And I always say, and Latifah Coleman, who played at North Carolina. I love like how all these connections are too. Like Latifah was on that team that played Delaware in the Elite Eight. So it's just neat, like knowing her as a player and now in the coaching ranks. And I always say to young coaches, recruit players who you would want to play with. And that's not just in the talent aspect. It's who they are as people. That they're about the team. They're about making others better and improving their game. So I have an incredible staff around me who are genuine good people who are not losing focus of these points that I'm making to you because within the change of college athletics. Let's not get caught up in just a talent. Let's make sure they fit the culture of what Villanova is about and what we want, who we want to coach. And those who are keeping want to play with.
I can only imagine how difficult that is and what a juggling act it must be. But you landed a pretty good incoming freshman class this year. What stands out most about this group in terms of how fast they're going to be able to pick up the system and maybe who can be able to contribute right away this year?
Yeah. You're going to see Kennedy Henry out there from the jump. I mean, I think all of our freshmen have that ability and opportunity in front of them, but she is a player who, again, epitomizes, Villanova basketball in the sense of the defensive end, like the understanding of what needs to happen, the ability to guard multiple positions, not just one. She uses her length extremely well. She has great understanding of the game. We have twins on the team, which I love, the Bender twins, and Brooke Bender. She's a knockdown shooter. Like, she just
I know you love that too.
love it. Absolutely love it. Like, feet set, letting the ball fly. And then Elise EJ go by. Like, she is another one who can just play multiple positions. It's going to take a little bit of time, like get her comfortable in all that. I often, as a coach, I try and slow down a little bit because we play that positionless basketball, but recognize it's new to some of them. They're used to, oh, well, in high school, I was a stretch 4, or I was a 3, or I was a point guard. So when I'm telling them, like, oh, go to 2 spot, go to 3, they're like, what? So the freshmen get a little overwhelmed with it. Just within all of that action. And then MD, she is, as a point guard, her greatest strength is on the defensive end. You give her that assignment, like pick up full court. She wants it. She just becomes relentless. And you could see how she's just making Jasmine better, preparing her for everything she's going to face. But it's our responsibility to make sure MD is comfortable and ready, to play some key minutes for us. And her role and responsibilities as this freshman, defensively, making as hard as possible on the ball handler and take care of the basketball. And we'll continue to build within her development process as she's with us at Villanova.
Hey, the twins, are they identical or fraternal?
Oh boy. I mean, they
What?
look.
I was going to say, how hard is it to coach when you're trying to figure out who's? I guess the numbers are very important on the jerseys, huh?
Yeah. Now that we've have had them for a couple months, it's an easy. You can tell them apart. Initially, when they came on, People are like, what? Like trying to find, because they wear their hair the same too. I'm like, come on.
You got to start to look at the idiosyncrasies of each individual. Hey, speaking of individuals, you've been doing this so long as a coach. I think a lot of people forget how good a player you were back in the day. Get the chance to work with Harry Perretta a lot. He always talks about how he thinks you were one of the best that he ever brought onto campus. And that's exactly the way he uses the words to describe that he brought you to Villanova and has had a big impact on you being there. But when you kind of look back at your career as a player, what do you think Denise Dillon, the coach, would say to Denise, the player? What would you like most about your playing days, and what would drive you nuts and have you pulling your hair out and looking what Harry ended up turning out to be?
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, shoot, the more time that passes, the more I forget about those days. Although I do laugh. I was talking with some of my Drexel friends, and I said it's also funny. The longer you're out, like the more you become like legendary. It really wasn't. I had a good career and very thankful for that. I would say, I honestly, I think it was pretty much the same as what I heard from Harry all the time, wanting me to look to score more, like look to take more shots. I was an efficient scorer, like my percentage was good, and I don't think I recognized that in the time. Now as a coach, think of those numbers, and yeah, I sure as heck, like I would make sure the team was aware, like, let's go, let's get her the ball more often, let's get more shots. Now I can blame that on Harry. Maybe he didn't ISOs. I don't know. So I think that piece of it, just wanting to recognize or and still push that confidence in my young self of knowing I was capable of a little more. And then what would drive me crazy? Again, same thing that I knew drove Harry crazy. I was extremely aggressive. I learned to rein it in a little, like with that pace and tempo, but defensively, I just thought every rebound was mine. I thought every ball, like if we missed or turned it over, I was going to get it and like, foul people. That's not a good idea. So yeah, the things that drove Harry crazy would certainly drive me crazy.
I know it's been a while. I know you've been coaching for a while, but does that type of thing have an impact on you as a coach where if you see a player that has those skill sets that they're not taking advantage of, or those things that you always got coached up extra, does that by nature just happen to kind of connect with you and you want to make sure you help get that fixed? Is that something that even subconsciously just kind of creeps into your mind? Because I always thought of it how, as a player, you hear these messages over and over and over again. As a coach, it's your job to deliver all the messages, but do some you kind of at least find yourself smiling a little bit when you hear it come out of your mouth?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I love that you're even asking that, because it's very true. And it makes me laugh sometimes. As I'm even thinking, Jazz, for instance, where I'm trying to tell her, like, pace, Jazz, slow down. And I'm just laughing because I was like, all right, that's a great idea. You're telling the freshman, when I think it took me, 3 years, my junior year, it's like that light bulb went off. It's like, oh, all right, I don't need to kill myself, like diving out of bounds or into the bleachers. I used to have to do it with Gabby Marginean all the time. That floor hurts. Those bleachers hurt. Like, stay on your feet. So I do. I laugh when I'm saying that. And then just the point of the confidence factor, like trying to instill that. It's such a short window, this playing career. Everyone thinks, and I said short-sighted in the sense of maybe making a change after a year or two. But the reality is, like, this 4-year window is small. Like it goes so quickly. I know the days are long and the training, but how it's like a blink of an eye. And that's like all the students. You're like, oh my gosh, when they become juniors, like, I can't believe they're already upperclassmen and how quickly it went. So I think we all, as a staff, try to do our best for them to get it while they're here. Like, that is priority one. They just get how special this is. Yes, it's going to be hard, but it's worth it. And you're able, like you're capable and you're able. And I I want them to feel that, to recognize it, and that's part of our development piece, and it's just so important to all of us.
It's so funny, that wistful yearning in your voice. That's the sound of every coaching, especially this time of year. You can always hear that tone of voice creep into somebody that it does what you do, especially who does it as well as you do. Just a couple quick more, if you have a sec. The Big East, you have the national champion, UConn, from your conference, obviously. That's a big deal. They've been back for a while now. As you kind of look at it, what has their impact been on the league as a whole to kind of anchor things at the top? And has there been any trickle-down effect in terms of benefits for everybody else?
Yeah, well, it's tough. I mean, congratulations to UConn. It's amazing. It's been my entire career, watching the growth of that program and the dominance, and it's beyond impressive. For us, I think the initial, like when they came back to the league, when I returned to Villanova, you were aware of the attention that they were going to draw. I would say the difference from, when I was playing and they were in the league, and then the early 2000s, when Villanova upset them with the Big East championship. When we would play at the Pavilion, UConn fans were coming to the Fin. And it bothered us. Like, we were like, oh my gosh, you get to sell a crowd, busloads of people are coming. Now the shift, like women's basketball is recognized and followed, and we have great fans each and every night. And even that UConn game, as a sellout, it's basketball fans and it's Villanova fans. So that appreciation I've seen and talked about with our players. So yes, the awareness of what they've done, the biggest challenge and want for all of us in the Big East is to compete with them. I said when I first got back, and the games were closer. We got them up at Hartford in a win, and then you just again felt that separation happening with the point difference, and we need to rein that in for the Big East to be one of the top leagues in the country. We just have to have a better balanced attack against them. So how's that happen? We got to get better players. I got to be a better coach, all the things. So I always am up for that challenge, but that's a must for the league.
Yeah, how important is it to find that second tier? I mean, right now, Creighton has had a few years they've been able to string together and kind of solidify themselves in that 2 slot. You guys had a stretch there where obviously you were amongst the best. We've seen Seton Hall knock at the door over the years. St. John's has had some good teams. Marquette, obviously, perennially has been very good, but you've been struggling to find that team that you can kind of write in ink that's going to be in that 3 or 4 slot and kind of flush out that depth. How important is that for the league to find?
Yeah, it's extremely important. And a lot of what we've talked about today is the retention, or getting players who can immediately impact from the portal. So I think we've seen that consistency with some, but yeah, it has to be each and every year. It can't be, 2
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it. This is a big deal for us, and you're so generous with your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always great talking with you, Matt.
That'll do it for this edition of Holding Over, part of the Big East Energy Network, and we'll talk to you soon.